First, the headlines. Her Highness the Honorable Lady pays a visit to Jawharat Muscat Basic Education School for Girls in the Wilaya of Sib to get acquainted with the institution's efforts and meet the teaching staff and students coinciding with the celebrations of Omani Women's Day. The Palestinian death toll from ongoing Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip reaches 42,438. And dozens are killed and injured in continued Israeli shelling of Lebanese towns as UNIFIL pledges to remain in southern Lebanon and describes Israeli attacks on it as deliberate. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. Her Highness the Honorable Lady, spouse of His Majesty the Sultan, made a gracious visit to the Jawharat Muscat Basic Education School for Girls in the Wilaya of Sib to be updated about the institution's efforts and meet the teaching staff and students. The visit coincided with the celebrations being held on the occasion of Omani Women's Day, 17th of October. Her Highness the Honorable Lady was received upon her arrival at the school by Her Excellency Dr. Madiha bint Ahmed al-Shaybaniya, Minister of Education, and Sayyida Sana bint Hamad al-Busaidiya, Advisor to the Minister of Education. Her Highness listened to the briefing about the school, its educational achievements, and its role as a cultural edifice and a center of awareness. Then she toured the school's departments and took a note of the programs and activities aimed at augmenting the students' cognitive standards. Her Highness also toured the wings of an educational exhibition showcasing research and artistic works undertaken by the students, as well as models of programs implemented by the teaching and administrative staff. There she watched visual presentations on artificial intelligence and digital programs. Her Highness attended a class and later visited the science lab. Then she conferred with a group of female educators, teachers, and students from various schools in Muscat government. During the meeting, Her Highness listened to the participants' initiatives and achievements in the field of education, academic development, cognitive skills, and community education. At the end of the visit, Her Highness signed the school's visitors book, marking this auspicious visit. Palestinian resistance group Hamas confirmed its leader Yahya Sinwar had been killed by the Israeli military in Gaza. In a statement, Hamas official Khalil al-Hayya said Hamas wouldn't release the hostages it seized from Israel until the war in Gaza ends. The Israeli occupation army announced the killing of Sinwar in a clash in Tel Sultan area in the southern Gaza Strip last Wednesday. The Palestinian death toll from ongoing Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip has reached 42,438. Over the past 24 hours, 29 people were killed in Israel's military actions in Gaza. The Israeli attacks also wounded 93 others, taking the number of total injuries to over 99,200 since the latest round of Palestinian-Israeli conflict broke out in early October 2023. The Israel Defense Forces issued a statement on Thursday saying that the Israeli army was operating in the Jabalia in northern Gaza. According to the Hamas media office, the Israeli army launched an air raid on Abu Hussein school in the Jabalia refugee camp on the same day, killing 28 people and injuring more than 160 others. According to the Palestinian news agency, the Israeli army also bombed a house in the Maghazi refugee camp in the central Gaza Strip on the same day, killing 10 people, including children. Meanwhile, the Palestinian resistance said on yesterday that it had attacked 2 Israeli military vehicles with rockets in the Jabalia refugee camp and ambushed Israeli troops in the southern Gaza Strip on the day. The EU's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, appeared to criticize the United States giving Israel 1 month to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza, saying that during that time too many people would die. Israel must take steps over the next month to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza or face potential restrictions on U.S. military aid, U.S. officials said on Tuesday, in the strongest such warning since Israel's war with Hamas began a year ago. Borrell has been a critical voice in the EU regarding Israel's ongoing operations. The bloc is divided on how to handle its response beyond urging for a ceasefire. The Lebanese Ministry of Health announced the killing of 45 people and the injury of about 200 others as a result of the Israeli raids during the past hours. The death toll since the beginning of the events has risen to more than 2,400 dead and more than 11,200 wounded. The raids targeted the towns of Mifedon, Al-Bisariya, and Ait al-Shab in the south, and the towns of El Ain, Al-Harbata, and east of Lebanon. In turn, Hezbollah said it has moved to a new and escalating phase in the confrontation with the occupation forces. It indicated in a statement that the toll of Israel's losses, according to what its elements monitored, amounted to about 55 dead and more than 500 wounded officers and soldiers since the beginning of the ground confrontations in Lebanon. Israel's escalating war against Hezbollah has caused widespread destruction of towns and villages in southern Lebanon, the UN peacekeeping force in the area said today. The United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL spokesman Andrea Tenetti said it was more important than ever for the peacekeeping troops to remain in place despite repeated attacks on their positions by Israeli forces. The UN peacekeepers have been targeted several times in what he called deliberate attacks attributed to Israeli forces. The attacks have sparked international criticism, but Israel army says it's not targeting the UN peacekeepers or their positions. Still to come, a news bulletin. An introductory meeting about Oman Future Fund is organized in Al Buraimi Governorate. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. As part of the October urban activities, the Directorate General of Housing and Urban Planning in the Governorate of Musandam organized the Urban Lobby event. It came within the framework to highlight the importance of involving youth in achieving development and investing in their energies, in addition to exchanging visions about the urban future of Musandam Governorate. During the event, some visual presentations showcased the development projects as well as some work papers in the Governorate that are in line with Oman Vision 2040. The event was presided over by His Excellency Sayyid Ibrahim bin Saeed Al Busaidi, Governor of Musandam. The Ministry of Labor in Salalah started recruitment tests to fill 39 positions distributed between the Ministry of Health and the Public Establishment for Industrial Estates Medayan in the Far Governorate. This is within the framework of the efforts made by the Ministry of Labor to employ Omani youth in public and private sector institutions. 1,423 job seekers who have met the specified conditions according to the academic qualifications that have been determined for the positions that are filled by testing in various units are competing for these positions. Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Al Buraimi Governorate, in cooperation with the Oman Investment Authority, organized an introductory meeting today about Oman Future Fund. The fund aims to support bold investments and enhance the benefit from major projects and small and medium enterprises. The meeting discussed the registration mechanisms and conditions related to the targeted companies, submitting financial statements, 5-year employment plans, and a feasibility study, and emphasized that 10% of the fund has been allocated to support small and medium enterprises with the aim of enhancing their market value and ensuring their continuity. The meeting concluded with a discussion session that provided business owners and investors with the opportunity to exchange views and ask questions about investment mechanisms and projects benefiting from the fund. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's news bulletin, here are the main points once again. Her Highness the Honorable Lady pays a visit to Jawharat Masqat Basic Education School for Girls in the Wilaya of Sib to get acquainted with the institution's efforts and meet the teaching staff and students, coinciding with the celebrations of the Omani Women's Day. The Palestinian death toll from ongoing Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip reaches 42,438. And dozens are killed and injured in continued Israeli shelling of Lebanese towns as UNIFIL pledges to remain in southern Lebanon and describes Israeli attacks on it as deliberate. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin from all of us here at the newsroom and the studios. Thank you for watching and have a good night.